G'day guys, welcome to Lucy's channel, Lucy Lane, the Queen of Balmain. Today we're going to talk about 5 things to know before getting a German Shepherd, part 2, the 3-year review.
She's falling asleep with her nose in her butt.
And now it's in my butt!
So even though we've done 5 things to know before getting a German Shepherd videos before, this one is quite a special one because we are coming up to Lucy's Happy Gotcha Day, which is next week. So we've owned Lucy for 3 years, which is pretty awesome. I didn't really, she just grunted. She has a few discrepancies with that, I think.
Oh, and a sigh.
And a sigh. But these are things that I think are really, I would have loved to know, and especially my wife Felicity would have loved to know prior to getting a German Shepherd, and you wouldn't know or understand most of these things until having a German Shepherd. So guys, the first one is reflecting on the emphasis of putting in all the hard work with training at the start and then continuing on with this. Now, this is something that my wife brought up and I thought it was really good to put in because this, I think at some point, especially when we first got Lucy, when I was out in the backyard up until 11 o'clock at night with the clicker, setting the neighbors bloody off the hook because they could hear this click, 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 click sound. And while I was so on and disciplined with, you know, making sure Lucy had her obedience training and was getting socialized, and it was so regimented. And I think at the time, Felicity didn't quite understand. Half the time I didn't even understand, but I was told to do this by the trainer, so I just did it. But reflecting back over the 3 years, Flick really now understands why that was so important.
Some things I understood, like the crate training and the general household training, but things like being out there till 11 o'clock at night, giving her one click and a kibble, I thought you had lost your mind. But now she's nice and mature and chilled out and we've got our routine, and I feel like I really get to reap the benefits of everything that you put into it. And I think the comments that we get, and especially I suppose you don't really hear it, but that I get from like my friends is like, oh my gosh, your dog's so trained and she's so well behaved and this and that. And that's all hats off to you. And now I get to enjoy that. But I think it's why, like, and even you got me doing training and stuff with her. And but at the time, I didn't really realize how much of an impact that would have on our lives for years to come.
So the second thing is stereotypes of owning a German Shepherd. Now, this thing we've spoken about before, and I may have touched on this in other videos, but we've been battling with this at a much larger degree at the moment because
recently we have, if I jump straight into this, we have been trying to move into a bigger house. We've been in this house. We moved in here to get Lucy, and that was the driving force. It is a little bit smaller than what we'd like moving forward, and we have been applying for properties, and so far, just in the last couple of weeks, we have been rejected from 4 rental properties because of her. And they have been labeling her as a aggressive, dangerous dog breed, even though these are pet-friendly places that we have been applying to. And then icing on the cake, yesterday I was having lunch with my girlfriends and one of them is getting a dog. And she has moved into a pet-friendly place and she got approval straight away. The dog's gonna come in a few weeks. And when she was doing this, she said she couldn't help thinking of us because they said to her, yes, it's absolutely pet-friendly unless you're gonna get a German Shepherd or something like that. And she looked at them and she was like, hang on a minute. And obviously she had a laugh because of us. And she's someone who grew up with German Shepherds, absolutely loves them, think they're the absolute best. But she was actually so shocked that there was this instant stereotype around this kind of dog.
And so this now leads us into our third point when it comes to owning a German Shepherd is they are super adaptive dogs. Now this is a positive thing. So like, as previously seen in multiple videos with Lucy, like we do a lot with Lucy, and That's, you know, credits to the training and her personality and us doing what we've done. But also they're super adaptable when it comes to living conditions, especially. Now, we live in a super small house. Like most apartments are bigger than our tiny ass. We live in a 1-bedroom house. Like they don't even build 1-bedroom houses. Like it's ridiculous, man. But the point is here is like these dogs are super adaptable to any type of living condition. And as long as you put the work in and they get the required training and exercise, it's perfectly fine to live in a smaller place, even in an apartment with a German Shepherd. We've made videos on this before.
And plenty of our friends live in apartments.
And plenty of our friends live in, 100%. But what it comes down to as well is like there is this culture of you must have a big backyard to accommodate this dog. Well, that's all well and good 20 fucking years ago, back when the housing market, you know, a family home cost you $10,000 and you did buy, you know, your home at 25 years old, you move into it, you have a family and the dog lives there its entire life. Well, that's no longer the case these days. Well, especially in Sydney, there's statistics stating that our generation will be the first generation of only renters because the median house price in Sydney is like $1.8, $2 million. Like, and I'm talking for your shitbox family brick home with no air conditioning. Like, $2 million, you're kidding me, right? So my argument is that your dog has to be adaptable to living in conditions like this, because what happens when you no longer in a large house with a backyard? You know, what do? You get rid of the dog and the dog goes to a new home and people have problems with it. Then it goes to a shelter and a string of events happen. So like these dogs are super adaptable. You don't need to have a large home and your forever home to own this dog, I think is what we're trying to get across here, because you no longer can. If you want a 3-bedroom home with a big backyard in Sydney, where we live, that's $3 million. And you still don't get a car park. And okay, great. So live out of Sydney and then travel 4 hours to get to work every day. That's also great. You know, you get your big backyard then. So what I'm trying to say, the emphasis on you don't need a big backyard to have one of these dogs. They're super adaptable. As long as you put the work in, you can live in a small place. And to be honest, Lucy probably gets more exercise than any German Shepherd that lives in a backyard. And she lives in a tiny ass house.
And we have a small backyard, but she hates it.
We do actually have a backyard here, but she hates it. She hates it.
We put her out there.
Yeah.
Hates it.
The fourth thing to know is, and this is something that completely got me off guard, is these dogs can develop, they can be fearful if the right protocols aren't put in place, and they can develop new fears over time. This is something that we've been working with Lucy recently. So just kind of in the last month or so, we first thought we had paranormal activity going on in the house. I must admit, I was going to make a video on this.
And everyone on Instagram agreed.
Everyone on Instagram was sure we had literally the Conjuring living underneath the house and some shit was going down. But it turns out we had a family of very territorial possums move into the tree at the front of our house. And Lucy could pick up on all of this. So at the moment, we're teaching her not to communicate. She likes to communicate with the possums. We're working on this at the moment with her. But she can freak out at nighttime at the moment. And
can we add, because they're jumping from the tree
onto the house and they're making loud noises and she just doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
But she's essentially developed a new fear at night where she can get so anxious, she has started shaking. So we're working on training at night now with Lucy with some recommendations and some help from our friends over in the US. Shout out to A1 Canine Performance. These guys have given us some great pointers on how to help Lucy with this at night. So what we're essentially doing is trying to rebuild her confidence again in the evening. So at 11 o'clock at night or whatever time it is that we're going to bed at the moment, we are doing small training sessions and reinforcing them with rewards, chicken breast, whatever, a toy. And we're doing this, and then I'm putting her back in her crate straight after this, and then locking her in her crate in a nice little bed in there for the evening, just so she doesn't get anxious and start pacing around the house and shaking and just wondering what the hell is going on outside when these possums are squawking and carrying on and thumping on the roof. And the fifth thing to know before getting a German Shepherd is they may not be just a one-man dog as you may have thought.
She's not. She's different with both of us, but I thought that when we got her that she would be your dog and she would only listen to you. And I did actually have reservations about, you know, maybe being home alone with her or taking her to the park on my own. And maybe she wouldn't listen to me and things like that. Maybe from stories that we'd heard before getting, you know, maybe she'd try and challenge me or something like that. But it has actually been the complete opposite. And I think getting in there and doing the training, like you said, just because it's not on camera doesn't mean that I wasn't involved with it all the time. And I think obviously her temperament plays a big role, but we were also discussing that maybe it's our relationship as well, that it is quite balanced. Or the joke around here is that she thinks he's the boss, but I'm actually the boss.
Yeah. Don't know if you heard that. She just she just agreed, I think.
And I think the biggest thing that we notice over time is that she sees Zach as fun and adventure and the full-on training and the photography and next activity sort of thing.
I think she sees me as the alpha as well.
Yeah,
like
she
I'm
does.
the dominant alpha. And by what I mean dominant, she's the one that wears the pants. But
and then she sees me as comfort and affection and more kind of relaxing. Like Lucy and I have a lot of time at home, particularly in the evenings while Zach is working a lot, and we relax, but she listens to everything I say. She follows me around like a little shadow. And at night it's really interesting, if we are all laying down together, she actually comes to me. She wants to sit on top of me, which is not comfortable, and she will actually come to me for cuddles instead of Zach, which is interesting.
I get left out in the evenings. It sucks. Anyway, guys, I think we'll wrap that up here. But I think the main takeaways from this are that there are going to be challenges that will present itself with owning a German Shepherd, and these necessarily, honestly, I can hold my hand on my heart and say, even if I knew this before I got Lucy, I would have still got Lucy 1,000 times over. Nothing can change that. Like, even if it wasn't Lucy, I still would have got a German Shepherd. There was no way that anyone could talk me out of it. Like, it was a done deal. So guys, I'll stop waffling from there. But if you like this video, or you have any comments or situations kind of like this, you're trying to get a new place, drop them down below. I'd love to hear about that, because this seems to be a common thing. I've seen people in the past say where they live, they have problems with getting properties as well. And this isn't just rentals as well. We've had problems with trying to buy property.
Yeah,
like with strata. So let us know in the comments if, you know, these are problems. And, you know, with a problem, there's always solutions. So let us know in the comments, guys. We'd love to hear it, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.
So yeah, Dinesh and Dennis. Yum, 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 yum.